Okay, so are you ready for another episode of Batman the Animated Series? I hope so, because I'm about to watch one. And this episode is going to be The Mechanic. And it's an episode I've been looking forward to covering for a while because it goes into the creation of the Batmobile and introduces the character that's the guy who built the Batmobile. And I oftentimes talk about how certain aspects of this show influenced later versions of Batman, and this one's no exception. I kind of feel like that this version of this character in here, Earl, was very much of an inspiration for the Dark Knight trilogy version of Lucius Fox. So I believe it's Paul Winfield that plays him. He's a pretty cool character. Hello again, Aunt June. Welcome. I'm about to watch some Batman. Uh, so yeah, and I usually mention anytime that Lucius pops up on this show that how much I like the Nolan trilogy version, the Morgan Freeman version of Lucius Fox, and how like if there was anything from those movies that like if I could only pick one thing from any of those movies to incorporate into my own version of Batman, if I were to make one, it would be that version of Lucius Fox because I really like him. And I feel like this episode is kind of the genesis of that version. Even though this character is not Lucius Fox, it's a different character. But you know, anybody who is seeing this episode for the first time after don't 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 fade out. I'm trying to. How irritating. Okay. Uh, I'm being too long winded. It's trying to. So we'll go ahead and start it. So well, start. There it goes. So we got the WB shield, fades into the blimp, pans down. We're going to see our bank and our shifty eyed characters. Bank, shifty eyed characters. Boom. There we go. All right. So yeah. Also, I want to give a shout out to a YouTuber that I enjoy watching, Implicitly Pretentious. If you're into comic books and animation at all, you've probably already seen his channel. If if you're into DCAU type stuff like I am, but he actually, by coincidence, just did a video on this very episode, and I thought that was pretty funny because I knew that was my episode that was coming up. So, so if I accidentally plagiarized him at all, I do apologize because I might subconsciously remember it. Nice title card with the rear of the Batmobile. Honestly, Kevin Altieri, my boy. Honestly, like the rear of the Batmobile might be the most iconic portion of it because ever since the 1960s, it's always had that jet thruster at the back of it. Even, God forbid, even this version of the Batmobile, which is just the Fast and the Furious car, at least they still put the flames coming out the back. Even they had enough sense to do that. Robin with the arms folded, like, oh, just shooting the Batmobile with a Tommy gun. Oh, gosh. Penguin's got a pretty cool car, too. Like, not only does it have that nice penguin hood ornament, but even, like, the front of the car is kind of vaguely beak-shaped. It's like this 1930s limousine-looking car. Like, the kind of car you would expect the Penguin to have who, fancies himself like this upper-class sort of guy. But he's really just a gangster. But it's important that the Penguin have that sort of air of pretense about him, at least. This version of the Penguin gets it just right. And my Aunt June was recently watching, she was telling me about it, she was watching the Batman cartoon that was on Netflix currently. And the Penguin was a major character on that. And I felt like they did a great job with the Penguin on that version too. That one was voiced by Tom Kenny, who is most famous as being the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants. But the Penguin here is played by Paul Williams, who is most famous for being the writer of the theme song to the Love Boat. I mean, he wrote a lot of great songs, and you know, he was in Smokey and the Bandit, and one of my favorite movies, Phantom of the Paradise. But he always says, like, you know, whenever I die, the Love Boat theme is going to be on my tombstone. And viewers to this episode for the first time are probably asking, who is Earl? People watching this for the first time with my commentary know who Earl is because I was talking about it. But why are you watching this episode for the first time while I'm talking through it? Just watch the episode by itself and then come back and watch me watch it. Or listen to me watch it. And there's Earl. And Earl's daughter. Womp womp. Paul Williams. Paul Williams is a very well-known actor. I think Sounder was the thing he was most famous for. Been in a lot of stuff. The main thing I know him for is he was in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. He plays Captain Terrell in that. And that wasn't his only Star Trek appearance. He also appeared in the episode Darmok, which I remember watching with my grandmother when I was a child. Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. And since the Batmobile's in the shop, they gotta take their bat cycles.
Better put in the order right now. These are terrible. Terrible. Come on, boss. Give me a break. Don't you understand? What more do you want?
He's got like his henchmen wearing like tuxedos even when they're working on the car. Hmm.
Even one good reason why I should have the person here check out your eyes.
Because I wouldn't be able to fix the car without my eyes?
Just banged up the limo. I never run into my old friend yet. The one I remember?
Oh, what a great face on that guy.
No, the one who works for that auto part. That's run.
Huh.
My boss has possible. One already don't. Right.
So apparently this was one of the animation companies that I think it was called ACOM that they felt like did not give them the best quality work. So it's the animation's a little wonkier than what we've come to expect, especially from a Kevin Altierian. So currently I'm watching Gotham on Tubi. Bruce Wayne is still a boy. Yeah, I've seen like the first couple of seasons of Gotham. I probably need to finish it. I know I've got at least 3 seasons of it on DVD. So, nope. I have 4 seasons of it on DVD. I think it ran for 5 seasons, so I probably need to get the last one. But I haven't gotten around to watching it all yet. I've got all 4 of those seasons, but I haven't watched them all yet. So this guy was able to trace the Batmobile by noting these parts that were sold for it. Now, I want you guys to remember that in a future episode, we're going to come back and revisit this concept. This guy figured out where the Batmobile was and who made the Batmobile by analyzing the parts that were sold for it, that were bought to fix the Batmobile. So he's explaining all this. And this guy's about to literally go down the drain. She just casually kills this guy. I'm sure some people will tell you he lived. Earl Cooper. That was his last name, Cooper. You didn't get to hear a whole lot of it because listening to some pretty cool bluesy music there, I thought. They went right to the chase. Just almost immediately did the Penguin breaking into the garage. That's some nice acting on the Penguin there. Like some nice subtle expression. I like that. And when you puncture the sidewalls like that, you can't repair them. They've got to replace that tire.
The onboard computer runs all the controls to a main switch. Then we're going to put a switch on a switch. Now, I've been talking about electrocuted me. Sometimes during the night, from being tampered.
That sounds like the guy who played Donatello on the original Ninja Turtles cartoon. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but I'll hopefully remember it if I see it in the ending credits, if it is him.
And how, Breakdown, did that costume clown give you such a bad piece of advice? I bet it's my business. Perhaps you've heard of my umbrella. Would you like to see what one can do to your daughter? Don't listen to him.
I've mentioned before how much I enjoy Paul Williams' version of the Penguin. I enjoy this version of the Penguin just overall, but I really like his vocal performance. And you notice that looks kind of like the old school Batmobile with the big fin in the back. Remember the part in Fight Club when Edward Norton's talking about how like his job is to figure out how much a recall is going to cost them, and if the cost of a lawsuit isn't more than the cost of a recall, they won't do one. But notice how Batman's got it bugged, so he's already watching these guys. They made sure you saw that bat bug stuck up there that he's spying on this corporate stooge. My guess would be that Bruce Wayne probably had some kind of dealings with this motor company and started to get suspicious, and that's how Batman got involved. And there he is, wearing his Year One costume. I think that's the first time we see the Year One costume. No yellow oval around the bat, just a plain black bat. The pouches on the utility belt.
And I couldn't get work as a bank. I was down on my last dime, money, job, and no prospects for one. And then he saved my life.
And there's the old Batmobile. Not running the best.
I need a new car. It was a challenge. It took me 6 months to come up with the design specs alone.
And that one on the wall looks kind of like the next version of the Batmobile that would appear on New Batman Adventures and Justice League.
He paid for cash.
That's a nice shot.
And outfitted to my specifications and paid real well. But he got his money's worth.
Beautiful. And you notice it's a much lighter color there. It's black and white, but I think they're trying to imply that it hasn't been painted yet.
Now be sure to do exactly as I tell you. For the next person who gets into a category security device will be your charming dog.
Patching up the wall. Can't have it look suspicious now, can we?
And we will be ready for him. Won't we?
Honestly, when Penguin asked Earl why he works for Batman, Earl probably should have sold it a pound sand, but you know, they wanted to tell us the story is the main thing.
The bat is about to bite the dustman. Put her in the limo. Insurance, just in case you get your life. And do take a football to film the Batman. After all, you'll be saying adieu to your best customer.
And you notice when he laughs, it's an actual laugh, like a human being would laugh, whereas opposed to the the typical quacking laugh the Penguin does.
Where's Marshall? Oh, down in the basement. Got some feeding
In the basement.
By the way, I even fixed the air conditioning switch.
I did the repairs while I was down in the basement. I ordered the new parts at bargain basement prices.
Just
All I could do was hope that Batman picked up on his clue. Batman being a guy who knows all kinds of esoteric knowledge, he's gonna figure it out. But not quite in time. And there's the Penguin again, goading him into a car. Notice how the car kind of farted at. But Batman doesn't know that he's falling right into the Penguin's trap. But it's not obeying Batman's controls. Penguin, of course, had his Red Triangle Circus Gang do a similar job on the Batmobile in Batman Returns. But in that one, Penguin controlled it with this kiddie ride kind of Batmobile, this cartoonish little thing like you put a quarter in at the mall and let the kid kind of ride around on them for a little bit. Kids find that amusing. In this one, he's just got a little remote control thing. Kind of funny how they find a more cartoonish way of doing it in the live action movie. Even fixed the door handles. But Earl did get Batman a way to escape, and he gave him every clue he could since he was being watched and listened to. And see, that's kind of even for a lesser animation studio like the one they had working on this episode, that's a pretty ambitious shot. I would imagine even TMS would have had a challenge with that one. It probably would have looked a lot better if TMS had it done though. They love TMS. And he caught it. The drivers crashed. They said, "Let's go down to the basement. He was trying to warn us." And he said he fixed the air conditioning switch. Glider pads. And you see what I'm talking about? How like I think this version, this character, this Earl Cooper, inspired Lucius Fox in the Dark Knight trilogy. Doesn't that seem like the kind of thing he would do to work in some kind of backup plan like that? Almost kind of like the Bat Pod in the Tumbler. And now Earl just like he's got to avenge his friend. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, he was forced to betray Batman, and he probably feels some kind of guilt over it, even though look at him crying. Oh. Batman does the impossible. That's what he does. He is cunning and resourceful. And this time he owes a lot to Earl. But we don't have to tell the Penguin that. I want to say again that I like the designs of these henchmen and how they're actually wearing like tuxedos and stuff, and how the Penguin's car is completely wrecked. I think that happened to Buford T. Justice in Smoking the Bandit, didn't it? She got a little moxie in her. Robin to the rescue. No umbrella for you.
Only thing is the new one I'm setting up for you. But this time I have money. Back set up dummy corporations to order the parts through, so no one can ever trace you again. Yeah. Wait till you see the backbone. That's gonna happen.
No one can ever trace Earl again. Remember that for a future episode. And what do they got the Penguin doing? Making license plates. Well, he's polishing license plates. Somehow that seems less dignified. One bat for you, the Dark Deco State. Which state is the Dark Deco State, I wonder? It's definitely better than being the Peach State. Alright, so Barry Gordon as Sheldrake. I think that was him. Sheldrake? Heroes in a Half Shell? Alright, so here we go. Kevin Conroy is Batman. He's our only regular cast member this time. There's no Alfred, there's no Commissioner Gordon, and Robin is still just a guest star. Alright, so Kevin Conroy is Batman. John Delancey as Eagleton. John Delancey? Isn't that cute? Steve Franken is Rundle. Barry Gordon as Sheldrake. Lauren Lester is Robin. Candy Brown as Marva. Walter Olkiewicz as Falcone. Huh. Wonder if he's any relation to Carmine Falcone. You know, Carmine Falcone wasn't named Carmine Falcone until the Long Halloween. He was just called the Roman in Batman Year One. So this character named Falcone would have preceded Carmine Falcone, interestingly enough. Paul Williams as the Penguin, and Paul Winfield as Earl Cooper. Oh, man. At the time of this recording, as I'm doing this episode, it was just last week. And I haven't really had a chance to comment on it because, like I said, I've been working so much. We lost another member of the Batman the Animated Series family, which is Richard Mall, who did the voice of Two-Face, would it be the thing he's most famous for. Did a lot of incidental voices on this series, and was the voice of the Bat Computer and the original voice of Thomas Wayne before somebody figured we should probably just get the guy who does Batman to do Thomas Wayne. They probably sound kind of similar, wouldn't they, being father and son? So, yeah, lost him. I first became a fan of Richard Mall from the sitcom Night Court, where he played Bull Tannen, the enormous bald-headed bailiff. Very funny character. He was probably my favorite character on this show. And, I'd seen him in a few movies here and there between when he was, when I first saw him on Night Court and when Batman the Animated Series would have started. And usually because he was such a tall, imposing presence, he would oftentimes play villainous characters. And Bull was kind of like the outlier, even though it was like the thing he was best known for in his career. I think for his entire career, he was best known as being Bull for Night Court. It was really more of an outlier and definitely not the type of role he usually played. So let me put it this way: John Larroquette, his co-star on Night Court, had played a Klingon. But if you'd asked me what character, if I hadn't known that, if you'd asked me what actor do you think would be most likely of the Night Court actors to play a Klingon, I would have said Bull. Richard Mall would have been the guy. But I was really excited when I heard that he was going to do the voice of Two-Face on Batman the Animated Series because, like I said, I was a big fan of his just as an actor in general, and I knew he was going to nail it because I'd seen him play so many great villains before. So even though this wasn't an episode that featured him at all, I still felt like I should probably say something since this is the first Batman the Animated Series watch along that I've done since he passed. So I keep thinking about that picture that was taken during the making of Almost Got Him, and how that picture just seems to be getting a little smaller all the time. And I think the only people left in that picture that are still with us is Mark Hamill and Paul Williams. So, and Diane Pershing, she's still with us. So those three. So, but yeah, it's sad to lose these people, but at least we've still got the episodes that we can go back and rewatch, and we've got a lot of happy memories of those episodes. And going back to the whole Star Trek thing, I always think of when we lose somebody, I think of what Bones said when at the end of Star Trek 2 is he's really not dead as long as we remember him. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Please make sure that you like and subscribe and all that fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this episode. I know I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. If you want to make sure you catch these when they go live, like my Aunt June does, hit the little bell, and I'll warn you anytime I go live. So that's pretty much it for this one. We will talk to you next time.